Good morning, YouTube. It's February 6th, 2017. Listen, I thought I'd come on here today. I want to discuss something uh, interesting topic. So yesterday was, of course, the Super Bowl. Now, as I was riding, I have to go to church over in Oakland, so I ride the subway to Oakland, and of course, all the conversation on there. They have two stadiums in Oakland, one stadium here, and generally on Sundays, that's when all these games take place. So I'm used to people being sports fans being on subway. But of course, yesterday all the conversation was about the Super Bowl. Now I was so embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say, a little bit embarrassed to say, I did not even know who was playing in the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, if I would be real honest, I'm not even quite sure exactly what a Super Bowl is. Now, this people think, oh, you just being silly. No, no, I know, I'm serious. So many times when I've attempted to say anything about sports, I'll be talking about basketball, something that happens in basketball, and I'm actually talking about football. I don't know why, what it is about gay men. I'm tied to being a gay man because I'm not unusual. Most of the gay men that I've known for my lifetime, I'm 58 years old. Most of them have not even been in sports. Now there are exceptions to that. You know what? We're not monolithic. Everyone does not do the exact same thing, and maybe it has something to do with being raised around a father and brothers. There was no masculine. I was the only male in my family, so there was no one sitting around watching the game. You know what I'm saying? So it could be something just as simple as that. But gay men are generally just not that into sports. Now that includes gay men who are raised with brothers and fathers. Uh, there's nothing about. I mean, if you say you're homosexual, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what your vacations would be or your interests would be. I mean, I don't know. We've always seemed to like there's certain categories that we seem to be drawn to. Anyway, so I felt a little strange that I was embarrassed that I hope no one would ask me anything about this game because I don't know who's playing. I don't know where I kept hearing Atlanta, so it has something to do with Atlanta. I'm just trying to keep it real here, people. So it's a curious thing. If feel free to get any comments if you have ideas about this topic because it's something we've always been aware of. There is one of the newest bars in Castro. I live in Castro, San Francisco. They have a sports bar now. So you go to a straight where the straight people hang out at. Sports bar everywhere. I mean, college sports bars everywhere with the big screens and all that. Not one in the Castro. So I know I'm not just the only one. And but yeah, so they have a sports bar there. And I know a couple people. I have a couple of friends who are very avid sports fans. They're big sports fans. And in both of those cases, the ones that I know well, relatively well, they have brothers. Father, maybe I don't know, but they definitely have brothers in there. So they've always liked sports. They got into it. They have someone at home pushing them for sports. Straight people tend to do that. Then they push you and get you involved in sports kind of thing. So it could just be just the lack of a male influence. I don't think that influences your sexual identity, but it could influence some of your likes and preferences, things like that. But let me fix this. Okay. So my biggest social group is my church. Maybe some churches don't really call it a social group, but where I know people. We always celebrate these big games and things because lesbian women, they're very athletic. They know every team. They have all the hats and gloves and everything. So our church is a little different. Uh, but I was looking yesterday. They had a Super Bowl party. I was watching because they had dinner before, and mostly women. But there were gay guys there too, and I noticed that after they ate, they left. They didn't even look. They didn't even look towards the television. So it's a curious thing, and I am curious how people feel about that. People who are in sports, gay men who are in sports, or gay men who are not, and they wonder why. What is that? I mean, what draws us to certain things? I don't know. I remember when I was a kid. Well, I was raised in the projects, and so the absence of a father was not unusual. As a matter of fact, one of the main qualifications to be in the projects is that there's no male in the house. It's a single family household, a single parent household. So mostly there were boys and girls being raised by single parents, mothers. So if there was a father there, he was generally not on the books, hiding out there. Very rare though. So, but straight guys still worked. They were still in the sports. They still know how everybody knew how to play something. It was always awkward for me because I thought as a pre-sexual homosexual, in other words, as a person who knew I was gay for my whole when I was a child, but I never did anything. I wasn't gay. I wasn't actively gay yet. If it was one thing that was going to give me away, particularly in the projects, which can be a rough place as you're becoming a teenager. If one thing was going to give me away is that if I tried to play a sport, I know they were going to know. I had to avoid. I had to avoid so much. And if I touched that field for basketball, I was going to be exposed. So maybe the seed was planted then that stay away from sports. Same thing in the gym class. If I was going to be exposed as a gay person, it was going to be behind some physical thing. If I got in a fight, they were going to see me start doing like this. So I had to avoid all that. Even in my own family, I'm from a big family. Not my immediate family. I was raised by my mother and two sisters, so I was the only male in the house. So it's not unusual that I think that I wouldn't have necessarily been drawn to sports. Although there were guys, I mean, I had all straight friends. I had uncles, but never took. Anyway, but even sort of a big family, maybe it's 100 of us there. Maybe it was 75 then, but all of the holidays we celebrated together, like Christmas and Christmas Eve and 4th of July and whatever. We had like 5 family reunions a year, so we always come together. But when we came together, all the men would always congregate around the television, and their conversation was almost exclusively about sports, high school sports, college sports, professional sports, everything. It was sports, 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 sports. And I had absolutely no interest in that. And so the adult, I didn't want to play with little girls either. But the adult conversations, the women's conversations, which took place usually around the table, I remember positioning myself. Okay, I'm a boy. I'm supposed to be with the boys. The men and women separate. The women, adult women, they would be at the table gossiping, talking about stuff, women type stuff. I would find that conversation much more interesting than what was going on with this sports stuff, which I had no interest in whatsoever. And I didn't even, I was embarrassed to say, I hope nobody asked me a question. I was embarrassed to say that I didn't even know, what a field goal, difference between a field goal and a free shot. It was like that. And it's pretty much like that now. Anyway, I would have to position myself because I wanted to hear what the women were gossiping about. I was more interested in their conversation. And then I had to have the appearance of being a regular dude because it's always this thing you don't want to be singled out as being a punk. Period. That was the worst thing you could do. So I always position myself in front to train myself to look at the television while listening to the women's conversations. It's a mystery to me. It really is a mystery to me. So if you guys have ideas about gay men in sports, please share them. Get in the comments. I would love to have a conversation like that. I never have. It's something I've always been aware of, though. And most of the gay people I've talked through over I'm 58 years old, so over the last 40 years or so, the majority, they're not in sports. Now, there are Bruce Jenner, there are Bruce Jenners in the world. At some point, I figure, okay, these are guys who have brothers, who were sort of schooling this when they were babies or whatever. But not necessarily so. Some guys have 4 brothers, still gay, still like fashion design. You watch Project Runway, you see the men. Very rarely you see a straight man on there. You go to hair salons, you see hairdressers, they're male and they're in there. They must be gay. A lot of it feels like that. So we're not being cheated in any kind of way. But it's a curious thing about the sports thing, though. So anyway, it's the topic. Congratulations to whoever won. I'm sorry, I don't know who the hell you are. Sorry for you guys who have lost. I guess that's a bad thing, but I assume you get those paychecks. Now, I will say I do admire one thing about these sports people. I love the way you guys get paid. So, and the excitement. People get excited. I wish they can get that excited at church. My goodness, can you imagine the tithes? That Oakland has so many. I mean, there's. I mean, there's so many people selling sports. What do you call it? Not memorabilia, but whatever it is. Hats, scarves, and all this tables all around the street because there's two stadiums there. People making bank. I'm seeing them big old back stacks of money. I wish the hell could get involved in some way in that, but I think it would expose me to a conversation I don't necessarily wouldn't want to have because I'm so dumb at it. Okay, people, this is just a thought. Well, what are your experiences? Later.